Hello, salvete discipuli. Hi, sixth grade. It's welcome to Latin class. I know I thought we would all be back in person this week, but we're making do, so hopefully I'll get to see all your faces next week. I miss you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again. But for this week, we will be remote. We've got this video lesson. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to walk you through anything you might need. So I hope you guys enjoyed last week's lesson about the zodiac constellations, getting to know some of the mythology and the stories behind the names of the constellations. Most of the names that we have for constellations that we use here in America anyways are based off of Greek and Roman mythology. So it's kind of cool to see that. Obviously different cultures will have different names for some constellations, but we might talk more about other constellations moving forward, but I hope you guys enjoyed that lesson. This week, we are going to be learning some vocabulary for talking about the weather. So we've got some more conversational Latin this week. So let's jump into it. All right, so for our weather vocabulary, we're going to be learning about the weather and then also seasons. Our words for the seasons are nouns, obviously. So they will have that grammatical gender that we've talked about in the past. Now, for talking about the weather, obviously this is going to be more verbs and phrases. So when you ask someone, oh, how's the weather? You might say, oh, it's sunny, it's raining. So those are more short sentences and phrases. So there's going to be some nouns, some verbs, some adjectives, kind of in short sentences, more like that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on, but just make notes for these Latin words and what they mean, so you have them all written down and that you have them to refer to for your assignment this week, which will be on Google Classroom. We'll talk about that at the end. So let's start off with our seasons. We did actually see this word already when we did our sort of winter holiday vocabulary. Hiems. Hiems is a feminine word, and this is our Latin word for winter. So hiems is our Latin word for winter, and make sure you are practicing the pronunciation yourself. Repeat after me. So hiems. All right, and then after winter comes spring. So we have our Latin noun ver. Ver. Remember, our V is pronounced like a W. This is a long E. This is kind of almost a tricky little word to pronounce. Ver. It sounds like our English where, but we want to try and have that A sound as much as possible. Ver. And this is a neuter noun for spring. All right, and then we have aistas. Aistas, remember that AE is that I sound. Aistas, this is a feminine noun. This is our Latin word for summer. Doesn't that look nice? I'd like to be on a nice sunny beach right about now. Aistas is going to be our Latin word for summer. And if I'm moving through these too fast for you to take notes, remember you can always pause the video, or I will have these slides posted separately so you can always go through them and take notes that way as well, whatever works best for you. All right, next we have autumnus. Autumnus. This is a masculine word. This one has that nice US ending that tells us it's masculine. And this is our Latin word for autumn. It's where the word autumn comes from. We might sometimes refer to autumn as fall instead. So however you prefer to call it autumn or fall, but this is where the word autumn comes from. So autumnus, autumn. All right, so those are our seasons. Now on to talking about the weather. So this is, again, going back to more kind of conversational Latin. When you're talking to someone, you're going to speak more in complete sentences. So we're going to learn some sentences and phrases here. And our first one is, quid est tempestas hodie? Quid est tempestas hodie? So this is a question asking, how is the weather today, right? How is the weather today? Quid can mean what, it can also mean how. So quid, how or what is the weather today? And then we're going to learn some responses to this question. So, tempestas, this is related to the word tempest, which means a storm. I think it's also related, it might remind you of like temperature as well. So all words that kind of have to do with weather. So if that helps you remember what this word means. So let's talk about how we might respond to this depending on what time of the year it is or what's going on outside. So first, we have pluit. Pluit. And this is a verb. So this has that T ending we've seen for some of our verbs. We haven't done a ton with verbs yet, but we're getting into it now. So pluit is a verb. It's an action word. And this is going to be our verb that means it is raining. Now, verbs are interesting in Latin because we have one word here and it's going to translate to 3 words in English. So this happens a lot in Latin. So we're going to kind of see this with some of our other words we're going to be learning. So pluit means it is raining, or it can also mean it rains. There's a couple ways to translate that one. But this is the verb, it is raining. So there we go. If you want to say it is raining, all you have to say is pluit. It's just one word. Makes things nice and simple. All right, and along those lines, I think we did also see this one in our winter holiday vocab. This is ningit. Ningit. This is our Latin verb, another verb like pluit. This means it is snowing, or it snows. It is snowing, or it snows. So you've got one word in Latin can be a whole sentence all by itself. It's kind of cool. All right, and I think the rest of the words we're learning, we have 2 other ones like this towards the end, but most of the rest of the weather things are going to actually be more than one word sentences, so keep that in mind. So you have pluit, it is raining, and ningit, it is snowing. And then we have sol lucet. Sol lucet. So sol, this is where we get the word solar from. This is our Latin word for the sun. So this sentence means the sun shines. So this is how we're going to say it is sunny. So it literally translates to the sun shines, or the sun is shining. In English, we typically will say it's sunny. Right? So this is how we're going to say it is sunny, literally meaning the sun is shining. Sol lucet. All right, and then next we have nubilum est. Nubilum est. And this is our sentence that is going to mean it is cloudy. It is cloudy. Now, quick note, so when we had pluit and ningit, it is raining and it is snowing. That is different than here we have nubilum est, it is cloudy. So pluit and ningit are both verbs, right? They're just verbs, and the raining and the snowing are that action, and it's just an impersonal thing going on. It is raining, it is snowing. What's happening here is we have this verb est. This means is, and it is acting sort of impersonally here. It is. And then nubilum here is an adjective. So grammatically, there's some things going on a little bit differently here. So that's why this one has 2 words versus pluit and ningit only needed the 1 word, because this is an adjective with our verb to be versus raining and snowing are actions, right? It is cloudy. Cloudy is describing how it is versus raining and snowing are actions. It's a little bit particular grammar there. So nubilum est, it is cloudy. And in kind of a similar way of this one, we have ventosum est. Ventosum est, this means it is windy. Ventosum is our adjective that means windy. This is related to ventus. Ventus is our noun that means wind, and that's related to like air vents, if that helps you remember air vents, where air comes out, so it's windy in that sense. So ventosum est, it is windy. All right, just a couple more for us. Frigidum est, frigidum est. Now we've already seen frigidus and frigida before when we did our adjectives. This is just the neuter form. Frigidum est means it is cold. It is cold. And yes, this is related to our word fridge, like refrigerator. Frigidum est. It is cold. And the opposite of that one, again, an adjective we have seen before, calidum est. Calidum est. This is, we've seen calidus and calida meaning hot. So calidum est means it is hot. All right. And if you're talking about like the weather, you're typically going to use the neuter because you're just kind of referring to the general, it's hot. You're not using this to describe a person or thing specifically. All right, our last two, and back to kind of some just normal verbs. So again, this is going to go back to similar to our pluit and ningit verbs that we saw at the beginning. Fulgurat. Fulgurat, this is our verb that means it is there. So this is kind of weird. It literally means it lightens. And this is the way of saying there is lightning, right? Fulgurat means it lightens. This is how they would just say when there was lightning, right? There is lightning. And then in a similar way, we have tonat. Tonat means it thunders. So this is a way of saying there is thunder. So it thunders. So that's kind of a fun one. All right, so again, make sure you have all of these written down. If you need to go back and rewatch this, or if you need to go through the slides, these slides are on Google Classroom, so you can go back and write those all down. There is a handout worksheet on Google Classroom for you guys to complete. You can print it out and complete it hand by hand and then turn it in next week if you want, or you can just turn it in on Google Classroom. For the ones, there's a couple questions where you have to pick, it's like multiple choice. You have to pick which type of weather best fits each season. Just highlight it using the highlight tool in the Google Docs. So you can do that. And then, oh, this is the tricky part actually. So you probably will need to print this out for the drawing purposes because you're going to make a weather forecast. If you really don't want to draw, you can look up pictures online. That's fine. I would prefer it if they were hand drawn. But I will accept if it's easier for you to do it on the Google Doc itself, you can copy and paste pictures that way instead. But there's a little chart. You're going to make a weather forecast. It doesn't have to be real. You don't have to actually look up what the weather is going to be like because obviously I think it's going to be sunny for the next week and then be a really boring weather forecast. So I want you to just kind of make up a random weather forecast for what you think a crazy week of weather would be. You need to use at least 4 different types of weather. You can mix and match the different types of weather. So if you want to say it thunders and there's lightning, so you could say tonat et fulgurat. Remember our et meaning and, you can use that to combine a few different types of weather. So you're going to, I think it's a 5-day forecast, or it might be 7 days, and you have to use at least 4 different types of weather. So go ahead and do that. Email me if you have any questions, but we'll do some more practice with this when we are hopefully in person next week. But otherwise, I will see you all next time, and Wale te discipuli. Have a lovely week.